Measures impacting what kind of cartridge you can use to hunt turkey, to what kinds of workplace readiness training your kids are going to get in school, to what kind of report your auto insurance company has to give you if they say your vehicle's totaled. That's just a mere handful of different laws Governor J.B. Pritzker enacted yesterday in a mass bill release that he put out from his office. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for being with us. If you are, of course, subscribed at America's Talking Network, you're joining us each and every weekday morning. So go to YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. America's Talking Network with Illinois in Focus Daily with the Center Square. So go to thecentersquare.com. And one thing that we do, of course, is track what happens at the Illinois State House. And a lot of legislation has been passed this year. I think 445 bills altogether, maybe one more, maybe one less, but around that, right? So we're expecting tons of bills to be released that the governor says that he signed. He's done signing ceremonies for a variety of things. Yesterday, we talked about bills he signed on Sunday, just before the Pride Parade in Chicago, dealing with what the governor called LGBTQ plus affirmation bills. He, of course, had a bill signing ceremony with the signing of the state budget that started yesterday. He had bill signing ceremonies for creating a new state agency in the Illinois Department of Early Childhood. Well, you can't necessarily fit 450 bill signing ceremonies all throughout the summer. So we get headlines like this. Pritzker signs 49 bills impacting elections, hunting, mobile park residents, and more. So if you saw the story yesterday, here's a little bit of ultimately what the story breaks down. And it doesn't give you all of the bills that he signs, but you can get at least an overview of what exactly the legislation the governor is enacting here deals with. And if you click through, you can actually get the PDF of the entirety of that list. All right, it's 49 bills long, so you can click through that and find all those bills for yourself. But let's go through just some of them that at least I thought were rather interesting. One deals with workplace readiness. This is a measure that would essentially say if a public school or a private school has a workplace readiness week for their students, then they have to do a certain curriculum spelled out in state law. Here is State Senator Michael Halpin, Democrat. He spelled out what he believes is ultimately, this measure that passed through the State House and the governor signed yesterday.
Which discusses state and federal local labor laws, some labor history, and apprenticeship programs and other opportunities in the labor workforce.
So Halpin talking about the curriculum that if a private or public school wants to do a workplace readiness week, they have to talk about those things, including labor history and labor law. But some see that as somewhat limiting the speech of teachers in this regard. Here is State Senator Dan McConkey, a Republican.
If they do cover it, it actually limits the breadth of the speech that can be presented as a part of this. And so for that reason, I'm going to be voting no. Thank you very much. Senator
McConkey sees this as limiting free speech. But Craig Wilcox, state senator, Republican, he also shared his reservations. In particular, he feels that this could be a level of indoctrination for students.
There's absolutely no doubt that we support workplace readiness and training programs in school. But the breadth of this bill appears to be a bit more indoctrinational if the option is chosen, and that is concerning. The week would remain focused on the objective of educating about workplace rights and opportunities rather than actually becoming, or should focus on that, rather than becoming a platform for specific ideological or political viewpoints.
So again, Wilcox seeing this as possibly some kind of level of indoctrination. He does not feel that that's the right path of such legislation. Another of the 49 bills that Governor J.B. Pritzker signed deals with totaled vehicles. And you've got a state representative here brought this measure that ultimately says, hey, if an auto insurance company is going to total your vehicle, it's a pretty big deal. And that could be some huge bad news for families across the state She thinks that it's important that they get some kind of indication as to what the breakdown is of that, and so-called do the math.
In Illinois, there might be 300,000 accidents a year based on IDOT's most recent study, and about a quarter of those end up with the vehicle totaled. For that roughly 75,000 families, it's a financial catastrophe, exacerbated by the opacity in the process of understanding how that calculation was made. So this agreed bill is about showing your math. We want to add transparency that will help people understand the components of a decision to total your car. Typically, the current market value, the estimated cost of repair, and the salvage value.
So it'd be interesting to see. It's been a long time since I've had an auto insurance company say your vehicle's totaled. But if you get that message, wouldn't you like to see what the breakdown was? I mean, I've heard stories of especially new electric vehicles that if you get smashed with the back end, you've got not just, the bumper, but you've got all kinds of electrical components, possible cameras and sensors, and, well, it could be enough to possibly total the vehicle. What are you going to do? And can you see that breakdown from your insurance company? So that measure requires insurance companies do just that. Some of the other bills that the governor signed yesterday: House Bill 4621, effective immediately. Some provisions taking effect July 1st, creates the Office of Statewide Pretrial Services within the Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts. This deals with the pretrial services in the Pretrial Fairness Act, and we've seen a rather large increase of the number of pretrial services needed because people are having to face pretrial hearings much more rapidly, and some of the local jurisdictions may not have the manpower to do that. So House Bill 4621 brings out a statewide body to allow for that. House Bill 5594 will require schools to have a plan in place to deal with cardiac emergencies. So that begins January 1st of 2025. Also, you've got Senate Bill 3414, requires private insurance companies to cover glucose monitors. You've got the workplace readiness bill that we talked about. Advanced practice nurses will be able to provide long-acting injectables for mental health or substance use disorders, such as also the short-term bill injections for opioid overdose prevention. So that measure will take effect January 1st, 2025. You've also got this one. The minimum shotgun gauge allowed for hunting wild turkey goes from 20 gauge to 410 bore beginning January 1st, 2025. Harry Benton, Democrat in the House, talked about this measure, and in particular, State Representative Patrick Windhorst, he addressed concerns about, well, not necessarily concerns, just highlighting this doesn't just change the gauge of firearm you can use for turkey hunting. It gives the Department of Natural Resources more authority in crafting rules moving forward into the future.
This also provides for the department to make administrative rules regarding shot size, material, and density. Is that correct?
Correct. Some of the issues is the technology is always changing, so they need to be able to adapt in the field to make sure that we don't have to go back and change the statute, so we can make sure that hunters can get out there and enjoy hunting.
Some people may ask, well, didn't the U.S. Supreme Court just say that agencies can't necessarily craft law through administrative rule? So this one's fascinating. It's worth a little bit of a deeper dive and some analysis because it's not just, starting January 1st, 2025, saying that you can't hunt with 20 gauge. It has to be 410 bore, but also giving the Illinois Department of Natural Resources the ability to restrict shot size, material, or density through administrative rule. Something else that's through administrative rule in the gun ban that was enacted in January of 2023, every October 1st, Illinois State Police, through administrative rule, they can give an entire new list of firearms that are banned and no longer to be sold or possessed. Still some questions as to, well, if somebody had them before the next October 1st, do they have to go and register those? We've heard that the registration is going to remain open, but of course that registration has been, at least compared to some of the estimates, abysmal. Some other laws taking effect January 1st, 2025. Tenants in mobile home parks under Senate Bill 2834, they can't be evicted for not paying rent, but only if the park itself is not up to date on its license or association fees. Then you have this one, House Bill 4488. It's an election omnibus bill, effective immediately, and includes various provisions. One provision codifies nursing home voters with the ability to cast ballots through vote-by-mail procedures. And opponents raised concerns that poll watchers won't be able to verify vote-by-mail procedures conducted in nursing homes where voters may be physically and mentally incapacitated. So again, 49 bills, that's just a smidgen of the measures that the governor announced were signed yesterday. Typically, I see these measures being released Friday afternoons, so we may get another bill dump sometime later on this week. We'll definitely keep you updated on those as they come through so that you're more plugged in what's going on with your state government. It is Illinois in Focus daily with America's Talking Network. Be sure to go like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network on YouTube, and catch this program each and every weekday morning live to keep you updated on what's going on in and around the land of Lincoln.